While all other camera brands are racing towards 8K video specs, it looks like Sony is finally taking a step back and giving the customers what they're asking for. Welcome to this fix. We're less than 24 hours away from the official Sony event where they will be announcing the Sony A7S III, the long-awaited successor to the A7S II. Leaked photos and specs have already surfaced online for the A7S III, and we're gonna break it down together. The leak comes from Sony Alpha Rumors, and as we can see from the photos, we have a completely redesigned camera body. The body itself looks much larger, the LCD screen is fully articulating, and a lot of the button placement are different from the A7 III. So I'm gonna go through some of the rumored specs of the A7S III and explain to you why they're important and why they may not be so great. We're gonna have a new 12 megapixel sensor with fast readout and new color signs. What does that mean? So 12 megapixels is a generally low figure for today's cameras. However, in video, smaller the megapixels allows for bigger pixels on the sensor, which attributes to better low light performance. So the camera will be capable of shooting 4K at 120 frames per second. However, will only do up to 4K 60 for 10-bit 422 internal, which for most of us is more than enough. That's perfect. The 1080 will be downsampled from 4K, making it the best 1080 hybrid ever made. Now, that is a big statement, but I'm really excited to see how the 1080 also looks. No line skipping or pixel binning, apparently, from the Sony. This is exciting. 600 megabits per second bitrate. Now, this was one of the biggest flaws of the A7 III and also the A7S II, was the capped bitrate at 100 megabits per second. This did not allow enough bandwidth to really capture details in shadows, in colors. Other competitors like the Fujifilm X-T3, which I'm shooting on right now, which allows up to 400 megabits per second, as well as the Canon EOS R, which has a maximum of 500 megabits per second, and the Panasonic GH5. So seeing the bump up to 600 megabits per second is really exciting, because that means that Sony is finally going to be able to capture high quality 4K footage. Now, the base ISO for the camera with S-Log3 will be 160, which is insane. It means it's going to have very good low light performance. They claim 16-bit RAW output, which is also quite overkill and insane, but if you've got a recorder, you can shoot 16-bit, which is pretty great. Sony claims 15 stops of dynamic range. Fuji has 11 stops of dynamic range, so a little bit of a bump up than most of the competitors in dynamic range, which is great. The world's highest resolution, 9.44 million dot EVF. That is insane. That's going to be ultra crisp, ultra sharp. It's going to have the same autofocus system as the A7R4. The Sony iDetect is one of the best in the market, so I'm confident that Sony will do good with autofocus. We're also gonna have no overheating, noise-free cooling system, which is great, and no record time limits, which is also great. I don't understand why other camera manufacturers are still coming out with a 30-minute time limit. I think this was because of a tax reason back in the past, but these tax laws have expired now, and Sony is coming out with no time limits, which is something that I want to see more in other companies. Sony is claiming to not have any overheating issues for at least 1 hour, even at the highest frame rate. So that's already trumping what the R5 and the R6 will be capable of. We've already seen real life tests which are showing between 20 to 30 minutes for 8K and 4K respectively. So 1 hour of footage, that's more than enough, I think. So really happy to see that Sony is addressing the overheating issues in the past. We're going to have a dual memory card slot, UHS 2 cards or CFEXPRESS Type A cards. Each slots will take both. They're interchangeable and the ports will accept both cards. That's great, and that's innovative in my opinion. The record button is now on the top of the camera, placed behind the shutter button, which is a much more ergonomic position, which means that Sony is listening to its customers with the overall design and user interface. Glad to see that Sony is improving these things. Regarding ports, we have a removable port door, which we see also in Fuji cameras. We're gonna have 2 USB-C ports, 1 micro HDMI, and no flash sync port. So we don't have a mic input. We're going to have to use an adapter to a USB-C, but they give you 2 USB-C ports so that way you can charge and also have a microphone attached at the same time. Personally, I still prefer the 3.5mm jack, but you know, we have to look forward to the future. Micro HDMI, which is great for external recording. No flash sync port. I'm almost more excited about that because it means that this camera is going to be focused 100% for videographers, not photographers. So great to see no flash support for photographers. So the A7S III is already listed on BH and PHOTOKOCH, Germany, 4,000 euros. So this is the translation to Australian dollars. This is the translation to US dollars. And this is the translation into pounds in case you are interested. As I said, they're looking to announce tomorrow the A7S III, so we're gonna see the specs officially come out tomorrow. But I just thought it'd be nice to kind of dive into some of the rumors pre-announcement and give you an early look at what may come out. Shipment is supposed to start mid-August, which is amazing. So they're gonna announce late July and start shipping 2 weeks afterwards. So that's really good. Yeah, and that's rare to see a company come out with an announcement, even though there's been enough lead-in time to the development and production of this certain camera. It's nice to see that after the announcement, within a few weeks, we're gonna see it start launching and people getting hands-on footage with it. So guys, are you interested in the A7S III? Some of these specs, personally on paper, they look really good, but you know, as we've seen with the Canon R6 and the R5, it's not all about things on paper. When those cameras were, you know, in the wild, we saw examples of overheating. We saw limitations that weren't on paper. So we're gonna have to wait and see how the A7S III comes out and how it looks. There goes my light. All right, so we're gonna have to wrap this video up, guys. All right, hopefully you can still see me, guys. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, keep shooting. Peace.